Good morning or goedemorgen, as we say in Dutch. We're almost halfway of this Eurovision 2021. It went really fast, and we're heading almost for the live shows, of course, of next week. Still one day of rehearsals ahead of us, as all the finalists will come back for their second round of rehearsals. All the semi-finalists have been on stage twice. They are done. They should have their work cut out by now, Steef van Gorkum.
Yes, this is the moment when you can't make any large changes anymore. Always maybe because they went to the viewing room yesterday, so they may make some small changes, but they need to have their work done by now.
We have spoken when it comes to the second semi-final about two main contenders, maybe for victory even, that are in that field: Bulgaria and Switzerland. We talked about them in the podcast in the previous days. What we didn't really talk about much yet is the qualification from that second semi-final. Which 10 will make it, which acts will fall out. What are your first basic thoughts on that? Is it a difficult semi? Is it a minefield like the first one or not?
Actually, I got my list of 10 pretty early
Already?
in rehearsal week. Yes, I have it at the moment, and I had it during the first rehearsal round, which also made me wonder a little bit, like, am I calling this too early? I felt more secure than I felt in years about the semifinal, but there can always still be surprises. I won't be the one saying already now that I will have 10 correct.
So, okay, let's start it off. Let's open up. Which are the 10? Do you know them by in the back of your mind?
Oh, I have to think about that. But I know that if you look at the bookmakers list, the biggest difference that I have is that I think Denmark will be in because they have it at around 12th place, I think. And for me, that's a qualifier because of the fact that I think in a small semifinal field, a cheerful song like that, even though a little bit dated and a little bit generic, can still stand out, especially from that final slot in the semifinal.
Okay, so I think I know the list from the bookmakers. They say these 10 acts will qualify. Do it in order of appearance. It's San Marino. Then we have Greece as a qualifier, they say. Then the block with Moldova, Iceland, and Serbia, of course, following up on that. Albania, they see as a qualifier. And then we go to Finland, Bulgaria, Switzerland, and the bookies say Portugal, and you say Denmark. So I think that's your list.
Yes, that's correct. And I think that's the tricky one is that there's that block of 3 or 4 ballots even, if you include Bulgaria, which for me is obviously a clear qualifier. But then I would argue that if there's three ballots or slow songs before that with Georgia, Portugal, and Albania, and Bulgaria itself, of course, being a ballot, that would make it very difficult for 3 out of those 4 to qualify. And for me, that's the main reason to go with Albania, because I think in that block from 3, let's say, it's the one that is the most different from the other ones.
When you look at the bookmakers, you usually have a list of all the bookmakers, all the betting offices that there are in the field, and then the combined result overall. There are also some bookies, it's only 2 or 3, I guess, that say no, it's not Portugal that will qualify, it's Austria. We haven't really spoken all week long about the Austrian song Amen. But I did see some reviews, some people saying, yeah, this could make an impact. He gives a very credible performance. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that it has a little bit of a similar story to Belgium, in the sense that the song in itself is not that strong. It's solid, it's fair, it's fine. There are some things that you can, some issues that you can address composition-wise or lyrics-wise, but all in all, it's possible that it could qualify. And then they staged it in a way where it's very credible, very accessible to juries, and maybe in the case of Belgium, and this is where the differences start, in the case of Belgium in that semi-final, in that field with all that up-tempo stuff and with their running order, it might stand out and even pick up a few televotes. And that's where I see Austria struggle, because they're in a semi-final with more songs, with more ballads, and in a much earlier starting position. So I think they will struggle with televotes a lot.
But your qualifier, you just said, isn't Austria, it isn't Portugal, it's Denmark. Why?
Well, the main reason is, as I said, that this is a semifinal with a few more ballots, and that's why I don't think all of them will qualify. And the other part is that Denmark really combines well. It was chosen by EBU to be the closer of the show, because this is what EBU thinks a show closer should be. It's accessible, it's non-offensive, it's happy, it's a feel-good end to the show, basically. And because EBU structures its entire show that way, and then finishes off with a song that completely feels right finishing off a show like that, I think it has all the momentum, and therefore we'll get a great televote and a top 10 jury vote as well.
When we spoke about the first semi-final 2 days ago, we concluded that it's very difficult, almost for each nation, to really cross it off the list, to really rule out qualification. Semi-final 1, it's very tough to do so. In the second semi-final, there are also a couple of countries that I would feel pretty safe to say that's definitely not gonna make it. How do you feel?
It seems more clear-cut. I mentioned my 10. We discussed 2 countries that are close with the bookmakers, or maybe even in Austria and Portugal. And actually, those 2 are my only question marks, actually, because the other 5, especially Poland and Estonia, but also maybe Czech Republic, Latvia, and who am I forgetting now?
No, I think we have it, because it's 17 countries.
17 countries. So those are the countries that I think will not make it to the final, and I'm actually pretty confident in that.
How's that?
Well, I mean, there's a case by case. In the case of Latvia, it has a good running order draw, but it's also surrounded by a few very big quality acts, and it didn't get, in my opinion, the staging right because it doesn't fit with the song. You have the 2 and 3 slots where Estonia and Czech Republic are, which obviously are not good running order positions, and which haven't really come to life in their performance. Anyway, in the case of Estonia, I also think that the song is lacking. And then there's Poland, who is, I mean, a potential candidate for last place, even, I would say, because that's lacking in all departments, let's just say. And I think Georgia is the one that we're forgetting, because we just discussed it in the block of ballots. But according to bookmakers and according to myself as well, if you have that block of 4 ballots, this is the weaker one and the easiest one to rule out for qualification.
But it comes behind 3 up-tempo songs and stands out when you look at the complete order. Georgia. Could juries lift it up and make sure it won't end up in last place?
Well, that's what I think, yes. I don't think Georgia will be the last one, but it is on my list with 5 songs, probably not to qualify, not because of what comes before in the running order, but because of what comes after.
One more thing about those 3 countries right before Georgia. It's Moldova, Iceland, and then Serbia. Could it be that they fight with the 3 all back to back, and suddenly a shock non-qualifier, one of those 3 won't make it?
If that happens, I think Iceland is still safe, because it's different, especially in that block of those 3. It has a group, it has a male solo singer, and it has some of that quirky stuff, that we're all looking forward to. So then it should be that either Moldova or Serbia, who both were not so certain qualifiers before the contest, that one of those 2, despite a good stage performance, will fall out. Either that, or maybe one of the 2 will disappoint on the big night itself.
What makes Moldova a good stage performance? Because there's not really a lot happening.
Yes, but it's all very well done. Like it's slick, it's competent. It reminded me in that sense of Azerbaijan in the first semi-final, whereas also there's not a lot that you wouldn't expect beforehand. But we don't have to be surprised every single time. Actually, if 16 or 17 Eurovision performances would all be shocking and surprising after each other, TV viewers would get a seizure basically, because they wouldn't know what to look for anymore. And so to at some stage, of course, ballads give you rest and break up a program or a show like that. But an uptempo song that is just staged in a way that you expect it to be and then competently done could also be kind of a resting point or a break in the show in a good sense.
So next week we will see if all these things really become reality. It's still a long time away before we have the second semi-final, of course. First we see the finalists return to Ahoy for their rehearsals. Tomorrow it's a day off for everybody in the Netherlands, and on Monday we will fully focus on the first semi-final again. About today, second rehearsal for the finalists. What improvement does... Well, the day starts with Italy. What do they still need to do in your opinion?
I think Italy came here pretty well prepared, so I think they're pretty much done. It will be nice, however, to see a couple more run-throughs and see if they can work on the final few details, because that's the good thing. If you start here coming well prepared, you have 80-90% of the job done. That gives you plenty of time to work on those final few percentages, which could mean a camera shot here or there, an extra close-up at the right time. So I'm looking forward to that, but I think they're pretty much done.
Yeah, for France, I believe you hope that the end of the song and the way they filmed that with the waltz, the wiggling as the camera dances in front of Barbara, they should polish that a bit.
Yes, it was pretty rough as we saw it at the first run through, and could be a little bit alienating maybe, and especially because for France the big question mark, of course, is televoters. That's extra important. Of course, then we're talking about winner category. So, but if you aim for the highest, then everything needs to be right. So I'm looking forward to see them work on that today.
The other four finalists, maybe the Netherlands slightly better than the other three, the UK, Spain, and oh dear, Germany. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. What's left for them? Because of course you can always work on your camera shots and your angles and stuff like that, but yeah, it probably won't help them getting like a rise of 8 places in the final.
No, I don't think so. There's always that thing that Germany has that makes it a standout act. You know, that we were looking forward to before the contest to see if it would be sparkling off the stage. It didn't do that in the first rehearsal. I mean, sometimes dreams do come true and we can see it in the second rehearsal, but I'm not expecting that. Plus the concept that they went with, especially with that finger on stage, makes it such jury poison that if we're looking at a final result in, let's say, the top 15, for me it's already out of sight for them.
We're gonna follow all these second rehearsals of the finalists of next Saturday, next week. Of course, on our live blog in ESC Daily, we will update our All Performances article where you can read like the description, the factual description of what it all looks like. We keep our opinion out of that article and just describe you what the camera shots look like and what you will see on screen when you can finally watch all the performances for yourself. We will do that today. I hope you stay tuned in to our website, and we'll meet up again tomorrow.